Ways to assess reliability. Test, retest reliability. One obvious way to determine the reliability of a test is to administer the same test twice to the same individual. To establish test-retest reliability, we administer the identical test a second time, usually after a week or two has gone. We then calculate a correlation coefficient for the first and second test scores. The time interval between the test run must be specified because retest correlation decreases as the time interval between tests increases. Some problem with this procedure relate to possible practices, effects. Also, if the interval between the tests is very short, the individual may be able to remember previous answer given the first time, and the scores between the two tests of the test score would not be independent. These scores represent a test-retest assessment for two different tests. Although high test retest reliability suggests that both instruments are relatively free for measurements error, care should be taken in interpreting this coefficient. It is evident that high reliability does not mean that an individual's first and second score are nearly the same. This may or may not be the case. The individual scored similarly on the both test administration. However, glancing over the pairs scores for the test B, you can see that the similarity scores is much less than that. Overall, the scores on the second administration are higher because retest reliability is derived through a correlational analysis. Although the situation is unusual, the occurrence of some significant event between the two administrators could cause a shift in scores. We will also want to comment on low test-retest reliability. Low reliability does not always suggest a faulty measuring instruments. If a significant event occurs between the two test administrators, for some of the test takers, but not all, then the low test-retest reliability may result. For example, a therapy or training program for a reading disability may take place between the first and the second testing periods. If those with the research or a greatest test disability showed the greatest improvement, then this would lower test-retest reliability. However, if not deliberate effort to change the condition of individual was made and only a short period of time intervened between the first and second test, then low test-retest reliability is more likely due to faulty measuring instrument. Then is alternate form reliability. Administer two forms of test and correlate scores. Some of the difficulties with the test-retest procedure can be avoided by using alternate form reliability. With this method, an individual is tested on one form of the test and then again on a comparable second form, form B. Again, a correlation coefficient is computed between the scores on forms A and B. The period of time between the two tests is usually a week or two. Although this time varies considerably, usually the two forms contains the same number of items and cover similar content. Alternate form reliability is used more frequently than the test-retest reliability because it has fewer associated problems, including a substantial reduction in practice events. Split half reliability. Only a single test session is involved when using the method of split half reliability. Two scores for each individual are obtained by splitting the test into comparable halves. This is usually achieved by assigning odd numbers in 10 to one form or even numbered items to the other. Generally, this method is not preferred over others because the scores on the two halves are not independent. To illustrate, if test takers is spaced out while taking the test, both scores will be depressed. With a sufficient number of instances of this sort, a spuriously high correlation will result, and the reliability will appear to be higher than it really is. Factors that affect reliability are that a number of factors can lower the reliability of a test within the testing period. Individually may become upset or ill, Or they may misread the question, make a clerical error when recording an answer, or guess at the answer. Between testing sessions, an individual may change. There may be differences between the two tests, alternate form, or scoring criteria may change. It is also important to remember that reliability is measured using correlation coefficients. One factor that can reduce correlation is a restricted range of scores on one or both variables. A restricted range of scores can result from a testing instruments that does not allow a variety of possible scores. Range of scores can result from testing that does not allow variety of possible scores, or from testing samples of individuals who all score very similar on the instrument, either very high or either very low. For example, you would not want to assess the reliability of a depression scale by using a sample of suicidal individuals. So experimental procedures are available to address these factors that affect reliability. In addition to selecting an appropriate sample of research participants, researchers can reduce measurement error and improve reliability by writing the items carefully. They should follow a standardized procedure for giving the test, so the testing conditions are very similar. They should not, or rather, they should state instruction clearly so that they are easily understood. Finally, they would use objective scoring procedure to avoid error due to subjectivity and changing criteria. So acceptable reliability levels depend on what the test is used for. So basic research purpose reliability for approximately 70 are not uncommon, but correlations of 80 or higher are considered desirable. So to obtain higher estimates of reliability requires considerable effort in selecting the items. So you can say the test that we discussed. Before we move on to detailed summary, let's get the last understanding. So to obtain higher estimates of reliability requires considerable effort in selecting items, standardizing the procedure, and administrating the score test for applied problems dealing with social issues, such as placement in retraining program or special classes, or for awards measurement errors. But be minimized under these similar circumstances. Reliability coefficients less than 90 are usually not acceptable. We'll take one example here. Universities continuously examine ways to increase the academic success of the students. One factors may be the level of emphasis on academic is the student's life. Thus, you believe that student who experience an out-of-class living environment that emphasizes academics will be more successful in college. So your university has several housing options for incoming freshmen. You work with the housing office to assign some freshmen to live in off-campus apartments. Some freshmen will live in on-campus residence halls, and some freshmen will live in on-campus residence halls called residential colleges. These residential colleges emphasize academics by having faculty live in the residential halls, by holding classes in the residential hall, by creating a peer tutoring system in the residence hall, and by creating programs of the activities that revolve around academics. So at the end of their freshman year, you assess the student's studies, skills, and grade point average. You assess study skills by asking the student true or false question related to action and attitudes towards studying. The study habit score is the number of question answer positively. Let's understand this last summary, whatever we studied. So measurement, scales, validity, and reliability is a way of refining our observation so that we can assign numerical values to them. Measurement requires precise definition of psychological variables such as intelligence, anxiety, hostility, love, etc. Operational definition provides precision by defining psychological variables in terms of specific operations. For example, hunger could be defined as the number of calories consumed. Operational definitions are useful when they allow us to discover lawful relationship among variables. The conversion of operations or observations to a number permits the use of mathematical operations to better describe and analyze observations. So on a nominal scale, or the scale of measurement is important. It determines the type of mathematical operations and statistical analysis that are appropriate. So in the nominal scale, numbers simply represents labels and have no quantitative meaning. And an ordinal scale of measurement, numbers represent rank, order, with equal intervals between adjacent numbers. An interval scale has equal interval between the adjacent number, but no absolute zero. A ratio scales of measurement has equal intervals and an absolute zero. And lastly, the validity refers to whether the instrument measures what is intended to measure. Validity can be assessed in different ways. So in order to measure to be valid, they must be reliable. That is, they should provide similar results under similar circumstances. Test to retest reliability is the degree to which measurements are similar when the same instrument is administered at a second time. So alternate from reliability is the degree to which measurements are similar when a comparable version of the instrument is administered. Split half reliability is a degree to which measurements are similar when different halves of the same instruments are compared. Lastly, factors that can lower the reliability of a test include restricted range of scores, feeling ill, misreading question, making clerical errors, guessing at answers, changing in the test takers, or changing scoring in criteria. So lastly, to conclude, reliability and validity are critical concepts in research methodology that ensures the quality and credibility of your findings. As reliability refers to the consistency and stability of your measurement or instruments, indicating whether it produces consistent result over time. Validity, on the other hand, assess whether your measurement accurately captures the intent, concept, or phenomenon. A reliable measurement might not always be valid, but a valid measurement is built upon a foundation of reliability. So researcher here strives for high level of both reliability and validity to ensure the accuracy and trustworthiness of their research outcome. So by rigorously addressing these aspects, researchers can enhance the robustness and impact of the studies. Thank you for your patience.